Norfolk and Western number 2300, otherwise known as Jawn Henry. Spelled J-A-W-N, not J-O-H-N, just to be clear, though still named after the legend of Jawn Henry, who is, well, probably a real historical figure, though his exploits were likely super exaggerated for the folk hero legend. Famously a rock driller who raced against a steam drill and won, only to die immediately after. Also, that's not a good sign, is it? Anyway, doubtless you've probably already noticed, is this another M1 situation? And, okay, sort of, but also no. She was a steam turbine electric, just like the M1, and she was built by Baldwin Lima and Hamilton Corporation in May of 1954. But unlike the M1s, who had 3 members of the family, Jawn Henry was an only child. She didn't have any sisters at all, and despite somewhat resembling the M1s, she didn't work the same way. She was mechanically different and had a much more rational wheel arrangement of C plus C dash C plus C. Once again, technically a tank engine, but we're not even gonna get into that, because that's ridiculous. And yeah, they were trying the turbine thing again, this time for Norfolk and Western, who were in the same boat as Chesapeake and Ohio when it came to the coal thing. They knew diesels were on the horizon, but they were really trying to stick with steam because of the coal traffic. There was a lot of coal in their area, readily accessible for steam engines to use, and a lot of their customers had them ship coal drag, so they didn't want to undermine any of that. It just didn't make sense for them, and they thought maybe let's give the turbines a try. The M1s were disasters, but this is Jawn Henry, and she's gonna be better, right? No. No. Despite Baldwin, particularly the Baldwin chief engineer, Ralph P. Johnson, highlighting her advantages and the superior benefits of steam turbine technology, she did not work, though for slightly different reasons than the M1s, as again, she did differ mechanically from them in certain categories. And to be fair, she is in possession of a record. She is the longest steam locomotive ever constructed, with her entire consist, including the tender, sitting at 161 feet and 1/2 inches. That's 49.11 meters. She was huge. The order for her was placed by the Norfolk and Western in 1954 and completed in May that same year. Baldwin put her together pretty quickly based off of their design parameters, and she was also, in addition to being a turbine, a high-pressure steam locomotive. And much more of one than the M1s were, as while the M1s operated at 310 psi, Jawn Henry operated at 600 psi, so that was a thing that was happening too. Her starting tractive effort was very impressive at 175,000 pounds of force. And Norfolk and Western had high hopes that she would be able to replace some of their aging, old-style steam fleet, particularly the Y6Bs, which were Malays, and possibly the A-Class, which were no longer in production, but still in service. But, that didn't happen at all. Jawn Henry had numerous problems that could not be rectified. In many ways, she was quite advanced, even offering an electronic control suite to deal with the turbine, but, that element was particularly complicated and difficult to train on. It took new engineers a long time to learn the ins and outs of operating her appropriately, and the major issue with that is there wasn't much margin for error with her, because the turbine, just like with the M1s, was very, very sensitive. And if you messed with it at all, it would cry. Jawn Henry would cry. A lot. Even just backing up into a train too hard was enough to throw her into a tizzy. And believe me, it didn't help that her being a turbine meant that she was only efficient at high power. I've been saying high speed, it's not quite correct, I apologize for that. It's high power output is when they're most efficient. But either way, this isn't very good for railroad operation because there are times where you aren't operating at full power. Actually, fairly frequently on the railroad. I don't care how many electric traction motors you shove into her, she had 24, by the way, just so we're clear, as opposed to the M1's 28. It doesn't change the fact that you're dealing with a turbine, and turbines don't like these trains very much. It's very hard to make them functional, at least in an efficient manner. There's like twice that I know of where it's worked. And even then, those were very specific circumstances. In addition to the complicated electrical controls, which were prone to failure, she used a water tube boiler, a Babcock and Wilcox design for marine applications. Like the turbine. Yeah, the boiler didn't appreciate being on rails either. Her size also didn't help her because she was far and away too long for Norfolk and Western turntables. They were long enough to handle the A's and the Y's, which were pretty big engines on their own, but not for Jawn Henry. She couldn't turn around. It was not gonna happen. You have over 161 feet of train here. You're not turning that. I'm sorry. And the traction motors were notoriously problematic, because not only did coal dust get in them and cause problems because she was coal-fired, that was the point, she also had water leaks from the water tube boiler. And I don't know if you've ever spilled water on anything electronic. But generally speaking, they don't like that. That's not something they approve of. That's not something they tolerate well, unless they're specifically designed to be waterproof and keep the water out. They don't like it. They don't like it. And these traction motors didn't like it either. The coal dust and the water, everything was breaking on her. Norfolk and Western tried really hard to make her work, but in the end, she only lasted about 4 years. A bit longer than the M1s, but not much. And perhaps the major hurdle was that on top of all these problems, on top of everything, she was expensive to build in the first place. Compared to pretty much any other locomotive on offer at the time, particularly diesels, even diesels that Baldwin themselves offered, Jawn Henry was very expensive to produce. Baldwin argued that if they were to get into mass production of the turbine, the cost would go down, and they were probably right, that was probably true, but also, why would you ask them to build more of this when she's not working? She never worked properly, at any point. In fact, even if she operated perfectly, even if she never failed, ever, she actually wasn't better than the steam engines they were already using. She performed at a 15% speed disadvantage compared to the A classes, which had also been designed for high-speed freight, to be clear. And she was in no way superior to the Y6Bs. So, not only was she more expensive to make, but she failed all the time, and she wasn't even better in operation than the old-style steam engines you were already trying to replace. There was no benefit here. At all. I guess you might think she looked pretty impressive, and yeah, the styling I actually like a lot better on her compared to the M1s. She looks big and beefy and very cool, but she didn't work. At the end of the day, it's as simple as that. They actually kind of stopped using her to pull trains midway through her life, instead only using her in a helper service, because she was very powerful at low speeds. So she could do that, at least when she didn't break. Which she did, inevitably, but still, when she didn't break, she could do that. But even that didn't last particularly long. She was officially retired in 1958, and sat around for a bit, though sent for scrap, not highlighted for preservation at all, finally being cut up in 1961. It's a shame, to a degree, because she did look cool, and it would be nice to see her in a museum somewhere, just because of her unique characteristics. One could say the same about the M1s in that way, but also, she sucked. She was so bad. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.